Good evening. I'd like to call the July 24th, 2023 Peachtree City Planning Commission meeting to order. If you will stand and join us in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. Good to see all of you out this evening. We will start with item number 2. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No, sir.
All right. Any announcements or reports?
Not this evening, no, sir.
All right. Then we'll move on to item number 4, the approval of the minutes. Commissioners, you've been given the copy of the July 10th minutes. Are there any changes, deletions, corrections to those minutes? All right, hearing none, then the chair will entertain a motion to approve those minutes from July 10th. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve the Planning Commission meeting minutes from July 10th, 2023.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposes? The ayes have it. All right, item number 5, no public hearings. Item number 6, no agenda items. We'll move on to item number 7, new agenda items. We'll start with item 23-07-05, Certainty Fence Landscaping at 200 Sierra Way. With that, we'll turn over to staff.
All right, so as he mentioned, Certainty is located at 200 Sierra Drive, located here in the yellow outline. Just off of 74, heading south. It is in a GI, General Industrial Zone. There we go. So they received a variance for an exposed metal fence that's over 6 feet tall, located in a front yard. And as a stipulation of that variance, they are to plant evergreen landscaping between the fence and the public rights-of-way. And so here we are tonight looking at their proposed landscaping. So they're proposing 4 different plant varieties, evergreen plant varieties, to be planted along the fence line to create a colorful hedge. Now let me orient you with the drawings here. So this is the site plan. So this is Sierra Drive, and this is heading north on 74, oriented north-south here. This blue line is a fence that runs parallel to 74, and a little bit turning the corner here on Sierra, and then this green portion, can't really see those colors up there very well, is along Sierra. And then again here, running in the same direction, along 74 and along Sierra. Now this portion of the fence is the sections between these 2 red lines, here and here. That's what we're talking about. All right, so the tallest of the plants, which will be located right against the fence, is these larger green circles here, and that is going to be a dwarf Burford holly. And even though I said dwarf, its mature height will be approximately 6 to 8 feet tall. You can see an example of it here in this photograph. It's a rich green and compact foliage with red berries. And while the plan proposes 3-gallon plants, staff is recommending these plants be 15 gallons, which should be approximately 3.5 feet tall at time of planting, to give us a little more height there to start off with. Next, flanking the driveways here, these groupings here, 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 and here, are accented with 2 plants, a Gulfstream Nandina and a Kaleidoscope Abelia. And those are depicted in, this is the Nandina right here, and these are photos of the Abelia. They're quite colorful. The Nandina leaves emerge scarlet red in the spring, and they mature to a blue-green in the summer and develop an intense red foliage as the temperature cools in the fall. They'll be about 3 to 4 feet tall at maturity. And there's also a little grouping of those right here in the middle. And then the Kaleidoscope Abelia has a chameleon-like foliage. It changes with the seasons from golden yellow in the spring with small white flowers to an orange red in the fall, and its mature height is also about 2 to 3 feet. And then finally, along 74 and in front of the hollies is the crimson fire loropetalums, which are depicted in these two photos right here. Also about 2 to 3 feet height and maturity, and they are ruby red to dark burgundy foliage with hot pink flowers. And staff feels that that this proposal meets the conditions of the variance criteria, recommends approval with the condition that the Burford hollies be 15 gallons, 3.5 feet tall at time of planting.
Thank you, very good. Is the applicant here? Or would you please step up to the mic and give us your name and who you represent?
Hi, I am Micah Pace. I am with Certainteed. I'm one of the project managers and engineers for our projects.
Anything else you want to add to the presentation?
No, I appreciate y'all. We built this fence a while back, and our contractors made mistakes, and we made mistakes of not putting the variance in place. And we put the fence in place, and we didn't have the proper bushes and approvals at the time. That's the reason why we had to go to the city. And we apologize for that, and we appreciate you allowing us to put bushes in place. We still want to be able to, we have a lot of truck traffic. They'll be at the entrance of our road. And so that having something that doesn't go higher than the 6 to 8 feet is important to us, so our truck drivers can see traffic coming onto Sierra, because we'll be trucks will be coming on and off Sierra. So it's a safety thing for us, and so we appreciate going with something like this. We're ready to, upon approval, turn out POs this next week, so that we can get this underway and get these put in place. We're doing a major expansion at our facility. Right now it's a little over 130 million that we're spending, in the community, and we just want to spruce up the entranceway.
Okay, thank you. If you will stay at the mic in case there are questions.
Please.
From the commissioners. So let's start with questions from the commissioners. Commissioner Rittenhour, any questions?
No questions.
Commissioner Hamner,
No questions.
Commissioner Quiz.
I'm just curious how tall that fence is.
6 foot,
Okay.
and then there's barbed wire on top of it. It's exactly like what's down at the FAA, just across down the way from us a little bit. That's the same fence we have all around all areas of our property. And so when we added on our additional product storage yard, which is our back of the building for us, it's closest to 74, and we put that exact same fence that correlates with all the other fencing we have. That's why we made the mistake, and I should have caught it, but I didn't.
No further questions.
All right, very good. Commissioner Reeves?
Yes, thank you. The only question I had is, it seems as though staff made one recommendation, which was the 15-gallon, 3.5 feet
Yep.
for a particular plant. Are you okay with that?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem. I'm not a plant, I don't know my plants very well. I went and once we figured out what we needed to do, I got a hold of my landscape guy that does our landscaping, and we got with Pike Nursery, and I let them say, here it is. You tell me what looks best, because I'm sorry, I'm not colorful. And so they made the recommendations, and that's how I came up with this. So we can have as big as you want, as long as they can buy them, I don't care.
Very good. Thank you.
Sure. And I had one question, but you answered it with regard to the size of the fence, because I could see the fence around your other property, and I was wondering if it was going to be the
Yeah.
same height, but you answered that.
It's exactly the same.
All right, well, then we'll turn it over to comments now. Let's start with Commissioner Quiz. Any comments?
Looks good. No comments.
Commissioner Hamner,
Looks good.
Commissioner Rittenhour,
I echo the same.
and Commissioner Reeves.
No comments. Thanks.
And I'll make it unanimous. I agree. All right, then the chair will entertain a motion for item number 23-07-05, Certainteed Fencing Landscaping at 200 Sierra Way. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve 23-07-05 Certainteed Fence Landscaping, 200 Sierra Way, with the staff condition of the dwarf Burford hollies.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposes? The ayes have it. Very good.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Agenda item 23-07-06, building elevations, Bridge Park Medical Office at 2035 North Commerce Drive. Turn it over to you, Laura.
Okay, this property, as mentioned, located at 2035 North Commerce Drive, is zoned GC General Commercial. Located there in the yellow outline, it is across Commerce Drive from the McAllisters. Jefferson Architecture has submitted building elevations for the proposed medical office and pharmacy for this site. You may remember from the conceptual site plan review that this site has two separate buildings on it. I don't know if you can see up there from the site plan. There was a larger building that's 8,000 square feet and a smaller building that's 4,000 square feet. The buildings are going to be tied together with a proposed metal canopy that emphasizes the front entry area and a small seating area. You can see that here in the front elevation, right here. In addition, the building facades, as you can see, have varying wall heights and material changes, recessed walls, changing roof lines. All of this adds a lot of visual diversity and also disguises the fact that there are two buildings. It's really hard to distinguish between the two. These same materials are used throughout both buildings for cohesiveness. The dominant material is brick, mostly a white brick with a brown accent brick, and also corrugated metal panels for accents. So these pictures here, whoops, excuse me. This first picture is from here, as you would say drive in from 74, which is out here, onto North Commerce Drive. View from the corner. Picture number 2, sort of out here is in the parking lot, looking back this direction. There's that canopy tying the buildings together there in the front. Third picture is back here from the cul-de-sac. Here's the Hilton Garden Inn Hotel back here. So looking at this rear corner back here with a nice glass entry, or not entry, but a glass, all these glass windows back here. And then the last picture here is, I'm sorry, did I get that backwards? I did, I'm sorry. The third picture is over here on this corner. Fourth picture is back here. Sorry about that. The brick stats, the larger of the two buildings, which is the one on the left. So if we go back here, it is this portion of the building down here, this one. Is 90% brick facing Highway 74, while the smaller building is 78% brick. That's this portion right here. And then the side of the larger building that faces the cart path, there's a cart path over here on the side. So this side of the building is 67% brick, and the smaller building is 80% brick facing Commerce Drive over here. And let's see. You'll notice here's some close-ups underneath the canopy. We also have the Nichiha wood on the ceilings that brings in a natural element, softening the brick. And it makes the entranceway a little bit more inviting. And here's that seating area up near the entrance as well, sort of a little courtyard space. And that's all I have. Let's see. All these pictures are sort of right from this corner of the parking lot. And I also wanted to mention that the applicant, I believe, has brought samples to show you as well when you're finished talking.
Okay, thank you.
That's it.
the applicant here? Yeah, of course. Mr. Jefferson, come on up and for the record, give us your name and who you represent.
Good evening, Jefferson Brown, Jefferson Architecture, and have the owner here is with me tonight too.
Very good. So could you start passing those samples around so we can look at them while we're discussing it? That would be great.
Close enough?
Yeah. Well, I think. Okay.
We didn't get the exact, this isn't exactly it. Brick's hard to get right now. But that kind of shows the flavor, the direction that we wanted to go with it. Initially I got really excited in the beginning, and I used Nichiha where you see all the brown brick, and staff was really, really good to say, check your calculations again. And so we went back and we replaced the Nichiha on the building facades with the brown brick, and then kept the Nichiha wood textures underneath. So we're using a lot of the structural steel, but to soften that and to make it inviting, and to make sure that those front doors say, here's the front door. We love using natural materials and natural colors on the structural steel, kind of warm it up, even though it's strong and permanent. We tried very intently to design all four sides of the building. So if you come from Commerce Drive and you're in the cul-de-sac, you look up, you see an elevation that was proportioned and planned. If you're coming from 74, the same thing. And even from the cart path, we are trying to articulate, and I really appreciate your comments on that fact that we didn't want it to look like a strip mall, you know, where it would have been just a one rectangular box or two sitting side by side, and we intentionally tried to break it up. So you really had to kind of study it, and we felt like it gave it a lot more character and warmth and scale, not making it just a standard strip.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Let's start with questions from commissioners. Commissioner Reeves, any questions?
No questions.
Okay. Commissioner Rittenhour.
Yes, going back and looking at what we had talked about in the past when we did the conceptual site plan, one of the things that I don't see, and I don't know if it's still in the plans or not, and whether or not this is the right time, but I know there was some discussion of having charging stations back in the original design. I mean, the pervious pavers, it looks like the pervious pavers are still there, but I know there was some thought, I believe in the original concept of charging stations. Are those still being considered? I just don't see them here, and I didn't know if they would be in this.
We talked to the civil engineer, and the more research we did, you really don't want those charging stations at the front of your buildings.
Right.
And so we were able to move them to the backside, and the civil engineer drawings, when they do come for permitting, you have an opportunity to review those. And we didn't have them up front. Like, you know, here, it breaks my heart even to put the handicap signs with the blue right in front of the building on the architecture. So right now, we're just trying to show the buildings.
Well, that was one of the things that I noticed in the original.
Yes.
And that was one of my questions and concerns about having the charging stations right up front. Was that the best location? But so it's good to know that they're still going to be there, but it's going to be in the back. The other thing, we're looking at 3 entrances. Is that correct from what the concept looks like?
Currently, we have 3 entrances. The building on the left has a main entrance, and we are working with a tenant improvement there. It will be medical. And then on the right-hand side will be the pharmacy. And the pharmacy, depending how the final design goes, it may make sense to come in one door and exit out another. But you know, and I know that awning area will kind of frame that entrance. That's where everyone's going to come and go.
Okay.
And it's central to where most of the parking is too. And even in those elevations on those doors, we actually, it's a little bit hard to tell on these, but we actually even slanted those walls to kind of invite you in. So you have these walls that are angled, invite you into that courtyard. And we didn't run the courtyard all the way through this time. We got a lot of input from landscape architects. It was just going to end up probably a dead zone and a zone that wasn't going to be used. So we went ahead and we pushed it back, and appropriately, when the landscape plan comes to you, the landscape they'll tell us what we should have in there, working with everyone.
Okay, that's one of the other things that I noticed, that the courtyard didn't pass all the way through between the two.
We ended up with
buildings, so-
we ended up with 15 feet with 23, 24-foot walls beside you.
Yeah.
It's not a space you'd want to be
No.
in.
Okay, good.
We tried.
Okay, that's everything.
Sure. Commissioner Hamner,
No questions.
Commissioner Chris,
No questions.
and I have no questions, so we'll open it up for comments, and we'll start with Commissioner Hamner. Any comments?
Overall, looks really good.
Thank you.
I like
Thank
it.
you.
Commissioner Chris,
Yeah, I echo, same thing. I think it looks really nice.
Thank you.
Commissioner Rittenhour,
Really, really like the design, pulling kind of the modern lighter brick in with the darker kind of faux wood, like you said, with the brown brick that you couldn't go with there, but still keeping that wood panel style underneath to kind of invite and like you said, kind of warm it up. So another very nice design.
Thank you.
Commissioner Reeves.
Yes, I'm going to stick with my original comments. The building is beautiful.
Thank you.
It's beautiful.
Thank you very much.
And I think it's also will be a very nice touch coming down 74, looking at this. When I first saw it, I couldn't tell it was two separate buildings, but reading through it, I got the understanding. But I think that makes it look cohesive. It makes it look like it's just one building. So again, I think it's a really, really nice looking design, warm and has character. So
Thank you.
sure. All right, commissioners, then the chair will entertain a motion for item 23-07-06, building elevations at Bridge Park Medical Office at 2035 North Commerce Drive. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
sorry about that. I move that we approve 23-07-06 building elevations, Bridge Park Medical, as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposes? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Very good. All right, move on to the next agenda item, 23-07-07, building elevations at Take 5 Oil Change at 2714 West Highway 54. We'll turn it over to staff again.
All righty. Take 5 oil change, again, located 2714 Highway 54. Right here, this little narrow piece, outlined in blue. It's 2 lots west of the new car wash, which is right here on the corner. The site is Zone GC General Commercial, and it's also located in the Highway 54 West Corridor Overlay District, and therefore must follow the Highway 54 design guidelines, which include requirements for building materials and architectural design. And Access Infrastructure has provided us with these proposed building elevations. The recently revised Highway 54 design guidelines has 2 design styles to choose from: the traditional 2002 design style and the updated 2020 style. The applicant has chosen the traditional style. Per the traditional style, the building is divided into a base, a middle, and a top. Base, middle, and top. And the base is cast stone that measures 3 feet 4 inches tall. A darker brick makes up the middle portion, and a slightly lighter brick band makes up the top section, which is defined by 2 bands of soft white trim boards above and below it, as you can see up here. This pattern is carried to all 4 sides of the building. The roof is proposed to be a charcoal gray standing seam metal roof, and the design guidelines do permit a metal roof, and staff feels that the proposed color is compatible with existing metal roofs in the area, which can be seen, those existing roofs are dark brown, and they can be seen at Silver Penny Racetrack and at McDuff Crossing Shopping Center. Gutters and leaders are also proposed to be charcoal gray to match the roof. Per the design guidelines, the long facade facing Highway 54 is broken up into smaller segments of less than 15 feet by the garage doors, and the tower element provides visual diversity. The proposal includes two of the predominant brick colors that are specified in the design guidelines, and those are Cambridge by Triangle Brick Company, that's the darker color, and the lighter color, which it shows up very red here in the drawings, but this is the lighter color or the more red color that you see on the elevations, and this is the darker color, which is a little more brown. The lighter color is called Portsmouth, also by Triangle Brick, and the buff-colored stone, cast stone at the base is manufactured by Rock Cast. It's also specified in the design guidelines, as are the colors for accent molding and the trim and etc., which are a soft white and the Sherwin-Williams weather vane color. And the applicant has also brought a materials board for you to review as well. And that is all I have for that.
Oh, very good. Would you give us,
That one you might have to pass around.
sure, you state your name and who you represent?
My name is Alexis Correo, and I represent Access Infrastructure.
And what was your last name again?
Correo?
Correa. Ms. Correa, do you have anything else to add to the report?
No, it was beautifully done. Thank you.
Okay. Well, then we'll start with questions that the commissioners may have. Let's start with Commissioner Reeves. You have any questions?
No, sir, no questions.
Commissioner Ridenour.
Is the design similar to the Take 5 in Fayetteville? At least,
I'm not familiar with that project, but this is the prototype design, just modified for your brick colors.
okay. I was just curious as to similarity between the
Yeah,
two, since the Fayetteville
It should
one
be
is-
really similar.
Okay, okay, that's everything.
Commissioner Hamner
No questions.
and Commissioner Chris.
I just have a question for staff. When we review these building elevations, are we supposed to look at the signage as well?
No, sir.
Okay.
That's a different permit.
Okay, great. No questions.
Okay. Then we'll open it up for comments, and we'll start with Commissioner Hamner. Any questions, comments?
No, overall, it looks really good.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ridenour?
I agree. I think it's very complementary to the buildings that are just across 54. Very, very similar in color. Maybe a little bit darker on this than those, but still pulling in those same color elements, so looks good.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hamner? Did I ask you already? I'm sorry. So, I got all of you? Did I get all of you?
I think it looks great. No further
Okay.
comment.
And then Commissioner Reeves?
Ditto, it looks great.
Thank you.
And I'll say the same thing as well. I like it as well. All right, so then, if there are no more comments, the chair will entertain a motion for item 23-07-07, the building elevations at Take 5 Oil Change at 2714 West Highway 54. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve 23-07-07 building elevations as articulated by staff.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions on the motion? Then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposes? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Very good. And our last item is item 23-07-08, the conceptual site plan for public storage at 425 South Highway 74.
And I have to apologize. It may not actually be the brand Public Storage. I might have just put that in there. It is a self-storage product, though I just don't know if it's that brand exactly. We are located on 74 going south. Highlighted here, it's an undeveloped piece of property, or actually portion of it is currently in development. It is zoned GI, so here just to orient you, there's 74. So you've gone south of Kelly Drive, and it's on your right just before you get to Gilroy's. There we are. To orient you, here's 74. And then this is a portion of that property that was outlined here It is in the process of being subdivided, and as I mentioned, portion of it is actually under development right now. And so what you see is this is a shared driveway that serves this lot as well as the adjacent lot, to which they then connect a perpendicular driveway that goes in deeper into the lot. It does slope a little bit towards the back, with the front actually being the lowest portion on the lot. And so they've used this natural topography and have placed their stormwater facility up in the front. They have a 100-foot access easement buffer. They are meeting the required 60-foot landscape buffer along 74. Property is about 2.9 acres, and what they are proposing is a 3-story building with a total of 98,739 square feet of storage. In that is a small office located up front. And so per our parking requirements, they're required to provide 41 parking spaces, and they have done so in a parking lot both up front and then parking in the rear as well, so that fire apparatus can circulate the entire building. Staff is of the opinion that the application meets the conceptual site plan requirements and is recommending approval.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Can you step up and give us your name and who you represent?
Hey there, my name is Jackson Webb, representing Heirloom Development.
So we'll open it up for questions, but I guess the first question, since staff wasn't sure of the name, is this, what is the name of the business? It's not public storage.
It's
what is
probably going to be an extra space storage.
Extra space,
Yes,
gotcha,
sir.
okay, all right. So let's open it up for questions from the commissioners. Commissioner Reeves, any questions?
Sure. The only question I really have is, I'm just curious as far as, just a business in Peachtree City. What type of research or market analysis do you actually do to determine whether or not a facility like this is actually needed?
Yes, so we've, I guess, partnered with Extra Space. We're developing one in Marietta at the moment for them. And so they kind of run their own analysis and provide us with that and say, yes, a facility here would work based on population, demographics, things of that nature. So they furnished us with that information, and we acted essentially upon that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all I have.
Commissioner Chris?
Just a question for staff. You said that part of the parcel is already being developed? So it's been split up, basically?
It's in the process of being subdivided as part of the development. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And it's the same company that's doing the work?
I don't believe it is. No.
It's a collision center that's just underneath us.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, no further questions.
Commissioner Hamner?
Yeah, just a quick question. So for the building itself, this is all the storage, is it just going to be inside a building or is it going to be
Correct.
outside?
So we'll have all climate-controlled self-storage and then probably some vehicle, like RV, boat parking, potentially in the back as well.
Gotcha. So if there's RV parking, sorry, I'm just looking at the drawing. If there's that line right there that goes in between that white spot, is that kind of where you're thinking the RV parking and boat parking may be?
No, the boat parking would be, down there.
Further down there.
Exactly.
Would that impact any of the parking requirements per se?
If they're providing the parking, that will count towards their parking. If they end up leasing out that parking in order to store boats, I suppose that would be fine. Obviously, if they didn't feel like they had enough parking, they wouldn't do that if they didn't feel like they had enough parking.
Okay.
So to answer your question, yes, it does meet the ordinance requirements.
Got it. Okay. No further questions.
Commissioner Reed now.
Sure. Since it's going to be fully enclosed, it doesn't look like there's any type of drive-in, any type of loading dock sort of thing. It's all in through the...
We'll have an entrance to the office and then probably a main loading entrance in the front of the building. So that's mainly which will enter right into our elevators, our lobby.
Okay.
So they'll go to their floor, to their unit, and kind of load their stuff up that way.
Okay. Question for staff, since this is along 74, and I know that lot is heavily wooded, well, used to be heavily wooded, at least on one parcel. We're looking at a 3-story building that does sit back in there. What requirements are we going to be looking at?
Staff is recommending the full facade or elevation review by the Planning Commission. They're not ready to do that at
Right.
this moment, but they are aware that that's a
Same
requirement.
thing with landscaping and everything?
Yes, sir.
along 74?
Absolutely.
Okay, because we are looking at a sizable height on a 3-story
Mhm.
building that we haven't had kind of on that,
On that corridor.
yep,
Yes, sir.
correct. Okay. Okay.
And I guess,
That's okay.
sure, my question kind of builds on Commissioner Chris's question. So, you know, if you're driving down there, there's a lot of clearing out of land. Is this the spot that we're talking about?
This is next to that spot.
Next to that
So
spot?
that spot is Gerber, and it is, Gerber Collision is right here.
Okay,
And so they're going to be sharing this driveway,
okay. Okay.
and that's a requirement from GDOT. And I think, honestly, when this was all one development, and that development included the NCR property that's to the north, or maybe it's Hella property that's to the north
Yeah,
of
it's
it, they all have this 100-foot wide access easement along it because the intent was for them to have this frontage road, so to speak, served by one driveway onto the main state route.
Okay, very good. All right, well then let's open it up for comments, and we'll start with Commissioner Rittenhour. Any comments?
No, just, well, I shouldn't say no. No, the only concern I have, of course, is the height of the building. Really looking back there, there is, you know, probably from, I think, the rear of the property coming down from the hill from the railroad, I mean, you're looking at 30-foot, about a 30-foot drop. So even if that's cleared off, you're starting to drop it down more in line with 74. So definitely want to see, since that's going to have to be really cleared out, you know, definitely some landscaping and things along the front to soften that up a bit. So
Sure.
that's everything.
All right, Commissioner Hamner.
I echo
Comments?
those comments. I think the landscaping is going to be really important, especially out front. It sounds like you get it. So yeah, looking forward to talking about this more.
Excellent.
Sure. Commissioner Chris?
Yeah, ditto. I also think the landscaping is going to be important here with a larger building like this. But I'm excited to see the development in this part of town.
Sure. And Commissioner Reeves?
No additional comments, thanks.
And I don't have any comments, except I am glad you asked the question about the research about storage facilities, because I'm also wondering, how do you determine
Sure.
if we have enough, do we need more? So I appreciate your question in that regard. But I think otherwise, I think it's fine, and I agree with my colleagues that landscaping will be key because it's right there on 74. And that's going to be really important. So, all right, so if there are no other comments, the chair will entertain a motion for item 23-07-08, the conceptual site plan for extra storage at 425 South Highway 74.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve 23-07-08, the conceptual site plan for extra storage located at 425 South Highway 74 is submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposes? The ayes have it.
Thank you, guys.
No workshop items, so our next meeting will be
Will be the
August
14th,
14th.
sorry, the 8th month, 14th day. Yes, sir, August 14th.
all right, very good. If there's nothing else for the good of the order, we stand adjourned.